In studio with us this lunchtime, the chief executive of Brighton, who are going so well under Graham Potter and are opening up spooking you as a result of that, Paul, by any manner of means, but going very, very well indeed. But of course, Paul, when we look at it, in the transfer market as it is, there are some crazy deals go down. This one might fit into that category, who knows, but you guys did superb business and came out of it superbly well by selling Cucurella, of course, to Chelsea for what was on, 60 million plus. And eyebrows were raised. Can you tell us, to a large extent, how did you navigate Brighton's path through all of that? Because it's a delicate one. This man's done deals, of course he has, in his time. But for everybody listening this lunchtime, there's a fascination around this time, Paul, about transfer deals, how they're executed, how they come about. So, was it kind of cat and mouse with Todd Boehly coming in with his first bid and you're saying no, and then to and fro? How did it work?
Yeah, a little bit of that. I think you're always in the best position selling a player when he's on a long contract, when you don't want to sell him, you don't need to sell him, and he's been your double player of the year. I think that combination is a perfect foundation for a negotiation if you're the seller. If you're the buyer and you're keen to bring in a left-sided defender, there aren't that many around across the world that can play at the very highest level, certainly for a club of Chelsea's size. And therefore, it puts you in an even better position because you know the market yourself. The downside, of course, is that you've then got to replace the player that you let go. And if the market is already difficult, then it's clearly going to be difficult for you as well. Although we're not fishing in the same pond at the replacement level, price level that obviously Chelsea are buying at. So, it was a typical negotiation. It was to and fro. You know, Chelsea were very keen. We weren't so keen to sell. There was other interest, which is another factor when you're looking to maximise the price. And obviously, I've got a tough owner that expects me to get the best deal possible. Yeah, for sure. I mean, his head was turned though eventually, wasn't it? During those negotiations, did Cucurella intimate to you, I want this to happen? Yeah, I think any player wants to play at the highest level, whether it's with Chelsea or Manchester City or any other club that might have shown interest. I think, certainly from the player's point of view, it gets to a point where they can see that opportunity within their touching distance, and then of course it becomes a slightly different dynamic inside the football club, because on the one hand you want that player to keep training and being ready to play for your own club, but at the same time all of the noise in the background is obviously affecting that mindset. So ultimately you then have a decision to make. You either get the deal done at a price that's acceptable to your owner, or you say to the player, no, not this time, it's not happening, and then you've got to resettle the player back down, and hopefully you can do that for the season ahead to the next window.
Well, when was the first interest shown in, Mark? Because I had a conversation on this show with Graham, and I mentioned his name, how impressed I was with Marc Cucurella's performances around January. Was there any interest even then? Because I don't recall. I got a little bit of a cold.
Yeah, I don't recall interest in that January window. I think by then, Mark's name was out there. His performances were good. I think the momentum started to pick up in the second half of the season. His performances got even better. He scored his first goal. I think the crowd was singing his name on a regular basis. He became a bit of a hero with the fans very quickly. And then, of course, as soon as the summer opened, then there was a lot of interest in him, and it came from lots of different directions.
Yeah. A lot of background noise is being made about Todd Boehly. Some people are suggesting, like Gary Neville, that he's running around throwing cash around and getting himself far too busy. When you dealt with Chelsea, was it with Todd Boehly?
Yeah.
And did you get the impression that Chelsea were in a situation where cost is almost incidental to the project they've got in mind, in terms of they're spending a lot of money, they've come through the door to pick up the situation after Roman Abramovich, people are doubting whether they're going to continue that vein of thinking and thought and be prepared to write off 1.5 billion like Abramovich did? Was it an atypical negotiation where you hold the whip hand, or was there something different about this? Because people are making this narrative. American coming in, throwing cash around, doesn't know what he's doing, learning his trade, other people getting the benefit of it.
Todd was very respectful, tough. This wasn't an easy negotiation. It went on over quite a period of time. I certainly didn't get any impression that this was something that they would do at any cost. It was something that they were prepared to do, but Todd negotiated very hard.
But you thought it was a atypical football transaction, because there's a lot being made. I'm not asking you to comment on this about Cech, Marina and Bruce Buck going out the door, but you would have expected the similar conversations that you had with Todd Boehly if you had them with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Todd's a very successful individual who clearly has done very well in other businesses and has clearly done well in other businesses through lots of negotiations. So although this was potentially a new area for him and dealing with football players in the Premier League, completely new, obviously, he was very tough and certainly did not make it easy for us to get the deal done, and I respect him for that.
But you did think all your Christmases come at once, didn't you? 62 million quid for Cucurella.
Well, again, I think it comes down, Simon, to the rarity in the market of a left-sided defender. For many, many years, we couldn't get our own left-sided defenders in. It was so difficult to find that combination. And as I said several times during the discussions, with Cucurella, you're getting 3 players in one. You're getting a left-sided centre-back, you're getting a left-back, and you're getting a left wing-back. So for us, we weren't worried so much about replacing one player. We were worried about replacing 3.
Obviously, the other argument from Chelsea's point of view is they've got Chilwell in there. So for other people, they're going, hang on a second.
Was there a moment, Paul, does it come? I mean, there'll be many around the country hooked on this. I know I am, because I'm intrigued by these deals. When Bowley comes back in and says, we're going to go to that. We're going to go to that figure. Whether it's true or not, 55 rising to 62 million. We're going to go to that. Do you sit back and think, got it? We've got it.
No, because I think your mind immediately turns to got to replace him.
Honestly, even then?
Yeah, because again, you don't want to leave Graham Potter short. You don't want to leave the club in a significantly weaker position. So for us at that time, it was about, can we get Levi Colwill, who we saw as a really good young defender, left-sided defender who could fulfil some of Cucurella's attributes. And obviously comparing the two is harsh because Levi's very young, very talented, got great potential, but Cucurella had played, a lot of games both here and in Spain. And then it was a case of, can we actually get one more in to take that pressure off the young man coming in from Chelsea on loan, and give Graham options as an alternative on that left side. And that's why Purvis has come in, Estupiñán has come in to give him that choice. And from that point of view, our thoughts turned immediately to, can we get those 2 deals done? And obviously, with the headlines as they were, with the money as it was, you then got to protect yourself in terms of that negotiation as well.
And these players, you suggest to Graham Potter, or Potter suggests to you?
No, there's a recruitment team that is constantly working in the background, 24 hours a day, almost 7 days a week, particularly at this time of year, but all the way through the season to identify players that we feel could replace the players that we've already got in the squad. It's a very similar philosophy to what we've got on the management side of the club, where we're constantly looking at a deputy.
And how much of the 62 million have you got left, Mr. Barber?
Does that conversation go on with the manager throughout the year? Different players that your recruitment team are bringing to the table, they're shown to Graham Potter all the time throughout the season.
Constant process.
Constant
process, Trevor, because I think if you leave it just to the windows, it's just
too much information to take on board.
And also, particularly in the summer window where the season starts this early, you're asking the manager to concentrate on preparing the team for a flurry of games in August alone, at the same time as you're throwing names at him for new players coming in.
It is getting ridiculous. Like, you're talking Moses Caicedo. He's played 12 games. You got him for £4 million. And Liverpool are reportedly speculated to be interested at £42 million. I mean,
well, as Graham said, that's only going to get his boots.
I mean, the recruitment team you've got are doing an unbelievable job. Obviously, all of you, because it's a team effort. But it's incredible what you do now.
No, joking aside, they've done a fantastic job. Moises Caicedo has done well, but he's still a really young player, and we know, and you know better than anyone, with young players, form is sometimes inconsistent, and we don't want the kind of pressure on Moises that these kind of headlines create. But he's a very level-headed young man. He's more than capable of dealing with it, in our opinion. He's settled into the Premier League fantastically, and potentially he's got a World Cup to look forward to as well. So it's a really good time for Moises, and we're delighted to have him.